Yo, yo, yo! What's going on, great people and all of the great land? It's your guy, Nicholas Wilcox. It's your guy, Johnny Main. Johnny, say what's up to the great people.
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Monday Night Football. That's what's up. Here, hoping for some Monday Night miracles and brains all over the place. Just seeing Justin Jefferson hit that gritty before we get on here. It's just feels like it's been many moons. And then, JJ McCarthy and his concussion. Wow. Anyways, happy Monday Night Football as we get ready to hit Monday Night Football pregame props, little DFS for you last night, man. The one thing I think we do a great job at is letting people know who they should play in their captain. We just can never jam the rest of the players in there. So between that and the Waiver Wire show, we got y'all hooked up tonight, man. So should be a good night tonight. Should be fun.
Totally. Because, it's been an interesting week. Let's just say that. Granted, we didn't have a ton of injuries. So that's a good thing. Week 13 upcoming. Waiver Wire show, obviously. And of course, we'll be breaking down, like you said, Monday Night Football between the Panthers and the Niners. We'll talk about that later, as long as give you guys a nice little showdown lineup, of course. But first things first, we're going to take care of the Waiver Wire for y'all heading to Week 13. So, Waiver Wire, Week 13 is upon us. Don't forget, Thanksgiving is obviously Thursday, so it'll be slated games for 3 games, and then we're going to go into, obviously, the weekend. So, Black Friday game, and then the weekend game. So, teams on bye, there are none. No bye weeks this week.
Nope.
Everybody is playing. So, we always say double check the waivers last minute anyway for any guys that right now are about to play, or where if you could still scoop up somebody and put them on your bench, feel free to do so. Some leagues restrict that, which is dumb, but it is what it is. Week 14, obviously, Pats, Niners, Panthers, Giants. So just keep an eye on those teams. If you have any of those players upcoming to play for heading out of Week 13. So just pay attention. Your Drake Mays, if you're starting Brock Purdy now, obviously, any Panthers receivers, obviously, tonight, and Niners receivers, you name it. McCaffrey will be on Week 14. So just keep an eye on things for your late season runs, no matter what position you're in, fighting for a playoff spot or your overall keeping things afloat for a bye for your upcoming league. So Week 13, like I said, as it goes, we're going to go start with quarterbacks. They're on the ticker below. So as far as quarterbacks, all of these are going to depend on what format you're in, and what your needs are going to be. I know Jacoby Brissett's probably owning a ton of leagues, so we probably take him off. But as far as everybody else here goes, like Cam Ward's added to the list after a nice performance against a vaunted Seattle defense that really got after him. But it wasn't as bad as Geno Smith against Cleveland, but it was still it was kind of rough. So that being said, quarterbacks here. So where do you stand on some of these guys right now, Johnny? Outside of probably Brissett, like I said, we'll probably take him off.
Well, I mean, I think honestly, man, before you take him off, I think honestly, he could whatever, you take him off is fine, but I think he's there. For me, if you're taking him off, then you almost have to be taking Trevor Lawrence off of there as well, because I think those two have been kind of one and the same as far as what they've been doing here over the last couple weeks. Trevor Lawrence has been just outside of he's got 2 weeks in a row here where
he had a good week this past week, but he has missed us with that percent.
Nope, QB 10 and QB 12. So both QB 1. So I mean,
this week you're talking about? You're talking about the last couple weeks?
No, talking about this week, man. Talking about this week. QB 10. Yeah, QB 10 for Trevor Lawrence. And then the previous week he was QB 12 against the Chargers. So 3 out of the last 4 weeks he's been a QB 1, QB 12, QB 24, QB 12, and QB 10. So whatever,
Wow. That's weird.
It is, and that's
So it's just like the numbers he put up last week. I was like, really?
Yeah, no,
he's yards passing. Like,
serviceable. He's been a serviceable quarterback.
no.
Over the last couple of weeks. I know, trust me, I am not a Trevor Lawrence guy by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm just looking at ownership just to make sure, because I know there's again every league is always
Brissett has outperformed him, like no doubt. Like Brissett's been a top 8 quarterback over the last 2 weeks, right? But if you take those guys like out of the equation and just say like, okay, like what does it look like moving forward? I think for me, there's one team that I'm looking. Actually, there's one game that kind of sticks out: Falcons and Jets. You got a pair of quarterbacks really that like probably overperformed for where they're at. Like if we're just looking at it, stripping it down, you got those guys, and then you have I don't know. God bless whoever does. Nope. And then the low key award goes to Davis Mills, who's getting another start as CJ Stroud continues to be in concussion protocol. So I think like for me, it's between those 3 guys. I think Davis Mills has a really solid matchup against the Colts. So yeah, man, I mean, talk about, quarterbacks. Davis Mills, QB3 week 10, QB8 in week 11 against the Titans, and QB14 against the Bills. So why not, man? Like why not against the Colts? So I think those are the 3 quarterbacks that really stick out for me. And if I had to say I trusted one of those guys outside of all of them, honestly, it probably would be Davis Mills, actually, man, because of what he's got going on and the weapons around him versus the other 2, like Kirk Cousins. We know what it is in Atlanta. Darnell Mooney did show up this week, so shout out to him. Kyle Pitts, kind of in the same space. Jets, you're rocking with John Mechie, but I don't even mind John Mechie. I thought he was really good in college, man. It was kind of weird how it didn't transition or how it had transition, but I guess Davis Mills would be the guy for me out of this list, man.
That's very interesting.
I mean, unless you got a better take, unless you got a better take, I'd love to hear it. But like, the rest of the names on this list just don't
call me crazy. All right, I got one that's like, I guess I don't. We can. I probably should add CJ Stroud to this list because he's under 40% in sleeper leagues right now. He is expected to play for week 13. So in that same vein you're just talking about, like
no, CJ Stroud, they've said he's going to be out
already.
Yeah, he's out for week 13. So that's why Davis Mills is the move. Yeah, he's the move. If you want to stash him for week 14, then like for sure. But this week Davis Mills is back up and running for sure.
So there's news talking about he's going to start once cleared. So he remains in concussion protocol?
Yep, once cleared. Pretty sure it was sleeper today. I don't know. We can argue about it later, but we can argue about it later instead of holding everybody hostage here.
Man. Okay. As far as like guys on this list goes, right? Like most likely Jameis Winston, like he probably won't be starting because Jackson Dart was probably close to playing this week. But obviously, if you have him in deeper formats for Winston, you're struggling at quarterback. Like it makes sense. But yeah, call me crazy, but Shador actually looked pretty good. I know it was against the Raiders, and I know he probably should have had a nice long touchdown for Jerry Jeudy if he didn't freaking fumble the ball out of nowhere. Like, what was that? Did he think there was like a blown whistle or something? Like,
okay,
did you ever you thought it was like a blown whistle and it was still going?
No.
Like, what happened?
No. So back to Stroud. Concussion protocol.
Yeah.
He's still he's still in it. So whoever the quarterback is for the Texans, I'll take whoever.
What you said is fine.
Yeah, I'll take whoever the quarterback is. Yeah. No, okay. Yeah. As far as Shador and like that, the touchdown, like in the Raiders game, I didn't really watch a lot of that, man. I was watching the red zone like normal, but then I kind of drifted over to the Eagles and Cowboys. Yeah,
some decent throws, man. Like you looked like, I know Dylan Gabriel was like, again, we called him, he's like check down guy, whatever. And look, this offense just looked mad different with Sanders here. Like they were, Isaiah Bond obviously got loose for a 50-yard reception. Like it was like this offense was so different than it was under Dylan Gabriel. Like everything with Dylan Gabriel is all check downs and to the tight ends, making the safe throws and stuff like that, which is fine. But the deep shots that Sanders was throwing to and just taking a chance on, like they were there. Statistically, it didn't blow you away, but it was still 209 yards passing, a touchdown, interception, and there wasn't much rushing. But we know the rushing can get there at some point. So, I mean, look, again, I'm sure you probably got better options on the waiver wire this week because there's no buys. So double check what you got there. But I know this is where if you have specific questions, this is the time to put them out there because there's going to be different waiver wires based on what you got. We're looking at based on availability, ownership, stuff like that. So if you have specific questions in regards to like that, like we're here for you, but we're just trying to like not give you too much vanilla. But if there's some vanilla there, obviously you're gonna go grab them. Haywood, what up, my guy? What's happening? We know you about to cook, baby. We about to get chefing up. After a bad luck NFL Sunday, your boy finally hit 2 live NBA props. Okay.
Good
okay.
Deal.
All right. Yeah. Share the wealth, my guy. Share the wealth.
Good deal.
But yeah, I mean, look, like I think Shedeur is a decent ad. I think Cam Ward is even a decent ad. Like based on how it looked like I feel like after like 11, 12 games, I feel like Cam Ward kind of put it all together a little bit. Gets a matchup against Jacksonville this week. We know Jacksonville is going to, again, a bend but don't break defense. Like they know they're very susceptible to things downfield. So it's possible to have that there. But again, like depending on your waiver wires, this is the options that we got. So moving on to running back. Devin Neal, obviously, the news with Kamara, we're still waiting on in terms of how that's going to shape out. But as far as I think Devin Neal, he's probably like one of the obvious last guys to probably go out and put your dollars on here in this spot. Kamara's timetable is unclear with the MCL sprain. So guessing that he's probably done for the year. Like, would you agree with that? Would you think Alvin Kamara is probably done for the rest of the year, even though it's a sprain? It's like the Saints aren't playing for nothing. Like, I doubt they rush him back. Like,
yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that he's out there. I mean, if he's out there, then it's just simply because like he's pushing the envelope to be out there. Like, I can't imagine that it's like a forced hand to see like what they've got. Yeah, like, yeah. I think it's. I think the only difference between like the Burrow situation is Cincinnati is just such a terrible organization that like they just make aggressively bad decisions all the time. So like this absolutely shouldn't shock anyone really for all parties involved. I think for Kamara, like it's one of those things where, maybe it's like, all right, like we see what we've got. There's nothing more, there's nothing less. And, if Devin Neal looks good, then like, hey man, like that's what you got that guy that, that's why you drafted him, right? Was to play a part in this offense and to see what you got. So creeping to that time frame, as far as seeing what you got out there, man.
Totally. So look, there's pieces here to have, but obviously at this time of the year, like it just gets pretty rough unless we have something like a Devin Neal situation where a starter goes down or whatever, like, or you're just playing handcuffs to other people's like teams and whatnot. So, how do you feel about Raheem Mostert if Ashton Genty, he's expected, that they're saying that the ankle injury that he has is not like severe, but we've heard about Pete Carroll always being more optimistic than it is. And then all of a sudden we hear he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks or something like that, like high ankle sprain or whatever. So I hope that's not the case, but
I would take every single running back on this list 2 times over before I dipped my toe into a Las Vegas Raider offense. Like it's already hard enough to win fantasy football games for managers. So like Devin Neal, at least there, like if Kamara's out, at least there's a clear path, to what's going on. And at least like there's a competent play caller as the Raiders, as they fire Chip Kelly, because clearly he's the problem with the Raiders. Like he's clearly, what's wrong with him. So like, I will let all the other 11 to 13 people in every league that I'm in, I will let you guys have dibs on Raheem Mostert before I even think about trying to make that move for him, man.
I hear you. It's just, it's not the best spot to attack, but I know some people, it's like, they've been struggling at running back all year long. And it's like, okay, well, him, maybe Chris Rodriguez here or something like that. Coming off the bye.
He's got a tough matchup. Like he's got a tough matchup
Yeah,
against the Broncos. Devin Neal's got like an okay matchup. I mean, but like obviously like the Dolphins have been playing a lot better, so it's not a layup. You know what I mean? So like all these names, right? Like we're at this point in time, man, where like it's rough, man. And I was thinking about this today, like, and I was just kind of laughing at myself for me just completely bombing on the Raiders. I was like, it's absolutely going to be hilarious because what's going to end up happening is some bottom feeder like Tyler Lockett is going to end up winning somebody a fantasy championship because that's where we're at, man. Like we're at this time of the year where like your roster, like bro, like your roster is going to change so much, right? Like it's going to change, like it's already changed for a lot of people, man. Like the Drake London guys, the Garrett Wilson guys, obviously like the injury last night with Baker Mayfield and Emeka, like not Emeka being hurt, but just like the impact it has on them. It's just like you're at that time where it's like you just gotta piece it together, man. So it's gross out here in these fantasy streets, man.
It definitely is. Moving on to receivers. So, like receivers, once again, it's like we're finding some decent pieces here, but it's also kind of depending on injury news. Did you find out anything about Metcalf today at all?
No, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything pop about it, but I mean, well, before we even get going, I just want to throw out the fact, what a terrible idea. And again, the Pittsburgh Steelers are full of terrible ideas. What a terrible idea it was to run a wide receiver screen or some kind of janky tight end screen with DK Metcalf being, right in the mix on that as he rolls his ankle again for the second time in the game. Like, great call, Chief. Way to go, Artie. You know what I mean? So, anyway.
We're going to use Metcalf on the tight end screen. Got it.
Jeez, bro. Come on, man. This is crazy, bro.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, look, couple ballers here with Dortch and Kirk here. Dortch is probably younger, obviously, than Kirk, but, like, Texas wide receiver situation continues to be something to watch out for and to, basically stash on your bench for the most part, or if not, start if you need to. Like Christian Kirk came out and was performing for the first time like all season long. And Jaden Higgins consistently is now like starting to be like the receiver that people were, getting hype on when it came to draft season and stuff. So there's that. Obviously, Luther Burden here. Like Johnny says, man, I'll tell you the Chicago receiver to start. And just don't listen to it because it'll always be the other one.
Guaranteed.
I call it DJ Moore.
Guaranteed.
So I mean, if Metcalf is out, how do you feel about Calvin Austin, man? How do you feel about him?
I'm gonna take that as a rhetorical question.
No, it was an actual question.
Well, I will say if you have to ask the question, then I don't know if this is the stream for you.
Oh man, that's understandable, brother. We appreciate it. Definitely check out the rest of the stream, man. Appreciate you coming on. But yeah, I mean, look, I guess the guy out. I mean, I like Greg Dortch here. Like, I'm saying, I know he gets utilized in multiple different ways in Arizona. He was someone I had on my deeper roster teams when the news about Harrison, Marvin came out. So it's been nice to have him there. Isaiah Hodge is someone that's still I feel like he could still be a downfield threat, even when Jackson Dart gets back. So just trying to go with some names here that are still readily available. But as far as who you like here, I think it's Jaden Higgins, right? You would say so? Still like him there?
Yeah, I think I like him. I don't mind him. I think Houston was trying to clearly get him the ball on Thursday night a couple of different times for sure. So I think there's definitely something there with him and Davis Mills. So I could buy that. Again, it'll be interesting to see if CJ Stroud is back. What does that look like for the passing game? For sure, because the passing game has been bogged down a little bit with the Texans with CJ Stroud, but not so much with Davis Mills, although he started off looking super gross. But yeah, I mean, I guess I would say like probably I'm right in the same vein with you as far as like, Jaden Higgins, Isaiah Hodgins for sure. And even like Mechie, man, like I don't like there's
Oh,
not anybody there.
yeah.
And he does have a pedigree from Alabama as far as being a playmaker. So like I don't mind him if you're in a pinch. I mean, obviously they're playing the Falcons this week, so there's a lot of gross things going on in the league, and maybe he's a guy that could maybe pop in and give you a solid game. But it's ugly out there in the streets with these guys. You know what I mean? So there's not there's not a lot going on, man. Like as far as the waiver wires go, like you mentioned it, man. Like it was pretty quiet as far as injuries go and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not sexy. And Mitchie, let's see here, man. Like he's had so far, man. Obviously, he's actually back-to-back top 24 weeks, man. Week 18 against the wide receiver 18 against the Pats, wide receiver 11 versus the Ravens. So I think it's one of those situations where he's done it once, he's done it twice. All right, now he should have your attention as far as somebody that you should be able to throw into your onto your roster for sure, because like you talked about, like all the buys that are going on after week 13. You got the Pats and the plethora of wide receivers. They got the Niners and their pass catchers, Panthers and Giants, Tet, and then whoever else, Wandell. So there could be a space where you might end up having to play a guy like Mechie in week 14.
Yeah, it could be one of those unsung heroes in a way, because again, the opportunity is going to be there. And then you tell me Tyrod's going to stabilize the offense. You're telling me he got 7 targets this past week with him. Like, that's already something to keep your eyes peeled on. Schedule wise down the stretch, Jets get Jacksonville week 15, week 16 New Orleans, week 17 New England. So it's a mix of a good and bad schedule, but again, with the opportunity, like you were just saying, I think he could be someone that you could be like one of those unsung guys you keep on starting, like a league where you have to start 3 receivers and 2 flexes, whatever. He could probably fit in one of those spots.
But there's also a world too, like just continuing to talk about him, is like there's also a world. You mentioned the Pats at the end. There's also a world where the Pats are sitting players, man, because they might have everything locked up. So
yeah,
who knows?
Possible.
Yeah,
definitely agree. Anything about Luther Burden? You think he'll have an opportunity to do something the same thing, or is this going to be a carousel between these Bears receivers the rest of the way?
I think it's a carousel, man. Like I think just like for the Steelers, they can't cover anybody, man. Like that's just the reality of the situation for those guys. I think it is a carousel. They got Philadelphia next week, so that's a big time game for as far as like
Friday, Black Friday game.
Yeah, for as far as like NFC standings go, like that's a huge game, and maybe it's a game where he gets a couple catches and stuff. But obviously, he's found his way on the field a lot more over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, like I mean, again, like if you're in a pinch, like why not? But that's a space where like we know where at least where a lot of the targets are going. But again, man, like we're in the second part of the year, and after the buys, like a lot of these rookies start to get acclimated more. They start to find their way into the offense a little bit more. So who knows, man? He might end up being, one of those guys we end up talking about later on in the year, or excuse me, in a few weeks that, could save somebody's season. So
yeah, it's possible because of just the downfield threat you can be. Like, just paying attention to all this stuff. Lastly, before I moved on, I forgot to talk about Yoshi Voss, because of T. Higgins and the concussion. So, again, another receiver that saw 7 targets, and then, again, obviously Chase will be back, but someone else still has to fill his Higgins' shoes if, Higgins is going to ultimately be out this upcoming week. Obviously, big game, big division game. And that's just kind of, I think Yoshi Voss is someone that if he wasn't somehow picked up in your leagues, like definitely give him a stash upcoming, potentially after the waivers. Moving on to the tight ends. Well, a couple of these guys have obviously been here for the last couple of weeks. But again, like just search your waiver wires because tight end is always one of those fleeting, positions week by week. So obviously Dalton Schultz is, here makes sense. Noah Fant, based on, him and Gesicki, are going to be obviously sharing time. So just be mindful of that. Like AJ Barner, I know he's he goes up and then he goes down and he goes up and then he goes down. So it's just based on how things were. A little bit disappointing that he didn't get more looks in a game that was a bit more competitive than expected in terms of game flow. But Brenton Strange, like, we talked about him. I talked about in the article that you could have streamed him up this week. And he went out and did his thing. So, like, the rest of these guys on this list is more about, like, okay, like, how deep of a league are you in and the availability. Kobe Parkinson, though, we could definitely talk about him a little bit because, obviously Tyler Higbee on the IR opened things up for him to do his thing. And, 4 catches, 41 yards, and a touchdown, like, was still solid. That's what you really ultimately want from your tight end position every week, something along those lines. And yeah, like, I just think that him the rest of the way for matchups makes a bit more sense, especially if you have a deeper format and whatnot. Brock Wright is obviously here because Samuel Porter, same thing. He's on the IR. Detroit has some decent matchups upcoming as well. So, and then lastly, Gunnar Helm, because Gunnar Helm, like I talked about him in my article several weeks back. That's like really deep sleeper because I was just starting to notice that they're not using Chikakonkwo like a full like range tight end like they used to. It's like more of a split now than ever before. So I think Gunnar Helm, like having a decent performance, like I think that opens up his possibilities, especially down the stretch. With 7, he had 6 catches, 51 yards this past week. So schedule is like for availability, but this is the time of the year now where you have to look at guys who may have some opportunity just to play a bit more just because they're younger. And Gunnar Helm fits that bill.
Yeah, you're going to have to do something because Hunter Henry, George Kittle, Theo Johnson, those guys are all not going to be available to you in week 14. So you're going to have to figure out something in that space as far as like the tight ends go. I mean, it doesn't really do anything. Like maybe Kobe Parkinson maybe is like the best name, or Strange maybe on this list. Like I think like you can tie Strange to it if we're talking about Trevor Lawrence, and what he's been doing over the last handful of weeks. Yep. You can maybe tie him into that right there. So that's not a bad idea. Looks like Darren Waller. I think I seen something like the window has been open for him to come back and start practicing and stuff. Something along those lines. So maybe even like down the road, because the Dolphins are still actually playing for something, as crazy as that sounds out loud to say.
I know, right?
But yeah, like, I mean, it's like week 14 I'm just thinking about it because I have George Kittle in like quite a few leagues, and it's going to be tough sledding for sure. And if I'm not going with any of these guys, man, I'll probably try like a Pat Freiermuth. Obviously I know that situation is very, very up and down, but like in my opinion, it's no more up and down than some of the names that are on this list, or even like a Darnell Washington as well. Just because for whatever reason, grossly enough, the Steelers tight ends are basically wide receivers in their offense. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but yeah, like that's probably the way that I would go, man, is I would probably lean into Parkinson or Strange. Strange, if he's still out there, that would probably be my first priority, probably.
Totally. I agree with that for sure. Because yeah, they need that's Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas might miss another game, so
you never know, man.
Oh man. Okay. That is the waiver wire for week 13 upcoming. While load up the showdown yet? Talk about the game. Which one you want to do?
A little different, man. We can go to the showdown here. I got it.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
I sucked last night. What happened to Kyron last night? Like, good Lord, man. Like,
well, I mean, I feel like with all due respect for having 5 minutes to build a lineup, I think that was all right. You know what I mean? For 5 minutes.
Oh,
like
totally.
Devontae, it's what I wanted, man. Like, that's what I led with was that, Devontae and then finding a way to get Stafford. But like, I think like the thing that crashed that lineup or that crashed the potential build of that lineup was trying to get Baker in there. And obviously, like, you can never bank on an injury. Like, had the Rams defense in there, like, so dude, like, I'm like comfortable and confident with like the process of things, like, you know, as far as like how I viewed the game. This is what it is, man. So as we go into the night, man, kind of had a couple thoughts. My first initial thought was chalk. Was my first initial thought before I even built the lineup, was just chalk. I think obviously Christian McCaffrey's definitely he's the overwhelming favorite at captain tonight. I think there's no question about that.
Revenge.
Yeah, it's a revenge narrative for sure. But we talked about, and you know, we've mentioned it a couple times here, just as far as like Carolina and how they played running backs, just in general, this season. And from the receiving side of things, Bijan has seen him twice so far this season, 9 catches for 78 yards. Your boy Devon Achane, 6 receptions for 30 yards, did find the end zone in there, but like they've actually done a pretty decent job on on running backs in the passing game. So I dare I say that, you know, I'm not all the way going 100 miles an hour with McCaffrey as the captain tonight. And then even when you look at these guys from the rushing side of things, Carolina, this is the part that's a little bit scary. Maybe McCaffrey as the runner maybe does his work tonight, because James Cook, we know about that 216-yard game that he had where he absolutely crushed him at 11.4 yards per attempt. Bijan, they got him the first time around, the second time not so much. And then Travis Etienne, 16 attempts, 143 yards, and 8.9 yards per carry. So there's a couple of backs, and I kind of look at these guys and think they all have a little bit of a similar skill set as Christian McCaffrey. So I'm on the fence like with him, but the one player I do like a lot tonight is I do like George Kittle a lot tonight. Like, that's a place that, like, Carolina, they've had a tougher time against tight ends. So I'm going to see what this looks like if we go with Kittle and Purdy. And then obviously you got to find a way to get McCaffrey. And then at 4,900, now we got to start thinking like other things, right? Like, we got to start thinking, maybe is it Chuba Hubbard? Is it Jalen Coker? Is it one of the other pass catchers, obviously for the Carolina Panthers? Is that where you would want to go? Is that where you have to go? Because now you're at a place where you have 4,900. I'm not buying Bryce Young again, going out throwing for 400 yards. I'm just not doing it. So I could even say like the San Francisco 49ers defense here, that bumps us back up to 5,000. So now trying to find a way to maybe, if we maybe go Xavier Legette, and then we can't get Chuba back in there. You could get Brian Robinson Jr. You could do that if you think it gets out of hand like that. But I do like this move right here. So 5,000. So maybe if you go Jalen Coker, and then maybe,
I would have said Jalen Coker pretty easily. Niners against the slot receivers are bottom 5 against them, and I think it's him or Legette should get a good amount of usage in this spot tonight.
Yeah, so maybe I go there, and maybe I'm thinking either a kicker, Chuba Hubbard, Brian Robinson Jr., and Jatavion Sanders. I'm thinking those are the 4 places that I'm looking at to end things up here. So we got 6,100 for that.
Yeah.
I want to say Chuba Hubbard, because I found I was listening to Sirius XM the other day, and they were talking about, it was like a really crazy stat about Chuba Hubbard in his pass pro versus Rico Dowdle in his pass pro. And if you're thinking that San Francisco gets up in this game, obviously it means Carolina's going to have to throw. And then it also means too, you might see a little bit more Chuba Hubbard than you do Rico Dowdle. So if that's the case, then maybe Rico Dowdle is the play, just based off of just a conversation, right? Like with issues with the slot. No, it has nothing to do with Chuba Hubbard, but again, if it's a passing piece, Chuba should be in there. And if not, then, Jatavion Sanders could also be in play as well, because if they're having problems with the slot, probably some opportunities in the middle of the field as well. So if we go Jatavion Sanders, that actually makes this lineup very unique by leaving 3,300 on the table, and very top heavy. So yeah.
So no McCaffrey smash bot tonight, huh?
I got McCaffrey. I mean, he's obviously in the lineup for sure.
Yeah.
I just I think if it pops tonight, I think it should pop for McCaffrey as the runner, is what I think it should pop as. And I think I wanted to play Brock Purdy at the captain spot, honestly, because in half the games that Carolina's played this year, they've QBs have had at least 100 quarterback rating in those games. And Brock Purdy, I think we know the one thing about him is, when the system is flowing and the offense is flowing well, he's a pretty good quarterback in that system. So I really wanted to play him in that in the captain spot.
Yeah.
Over McCaffrey. I know Brock Purdy's the second highest owned in the captain spot. So if I was gonna change anything, maybe it's Brock Purdy at captain, because I think with 3,300 left, we could do that. So if we go Brock Purdy at captain,
yeah,
and then George Kittle,
yep.
Here, I could live with that. So yeah, so I mean, can go there. I don't feel nowhere near as bad about that move versus Kittle, but I do like George Kittle a whole lot tonight.
That makes sense. I love the matchup as well. So that makes sense. So it's always one of those things where it's is it ownership or is it more about the value you get out of a guy versus ownership? It's just but it's always man, it's should we just play McCaffrey at the captain spot? As well. Because it's just easy to be one of those 3 touchdown performance McCaffrey nights, and then we're oh no.
I mean, I think it's again, I think it's definitely in the realm of possibility. I don't think it's one of those ones where it's not. I think this is definitely a situation where, either one of these 3 guys, if you told me George Kittle had 2 or 3 touchdowns tonight, I wouldn't bat an eye. And if he had 2 or 3 touchdowns, obviously Brock Purdy has 2 or 3 touchdowns as well. If you told me Brock Purdy threw for 3 touchdowns and one was to Pearsall, one was to Jennings, one was to Kittle, and McCaffrey had 140 yards on the ground, I wouldn't bat an eye at that. I wouldn't bat an eye at either of those scenarios. So I think this is one where it does make it tough. You can't go completely chalk and go McCaffrey. And if you go McCaffrey at captain, then you probably end up having to move off one of those other players. No, you can. No, it could still be McCaffrey, Kittle, Purdy, Coker, and Sanders. And now that just means that we would be chopping up this.
You don't believe in Bryce Young performance tonight at all, right? That's why you're going to Niners defense?
Yeah, that's exactly why. I think at home, Bryce Young, that was a career day for him, man. And that only seems to happen in NFC South games. So yeah. So, I guess, yeah. So, if go McCaffrey and just go chalk, see what it is, man. And I'll take the $25 and play it on Thanksgiving Day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Talking about now of course, the Monday Night Football matchup where Panthers are getting 7.5 going into San Francisco to take on the Niners. 49.5 over under. And we have a good amount of time to talk about this one. So, in terms of this game, it just kind of comes down to, we just literally reiterated, can Bryce Young have another performance where, I'm not asking him to have a career performance in this spot, but Carolina's just been such a weird team all year long. And it just comes down to which Panthers team am I going to get to see tonight. There's a reason why this team's 6-5 on the year. And it's some of it is because it has been, they're them running the football and establishing the run first, right? That's where, with Rico Dowell and even mixing, Chuba Hubbard now in it now, that's where it kind of comes down to, and can the Niners defense get enough stops to where they could stifle Carolina tonight? Or is it going to be more of a back and forth game where Carolina will find a way to potentially be in this game late? I don't expect that to happen. but the 7.5 feels enticing. What are your thoughts?
I think the 7.5. I think that's definitely a big number for sure. I think it's a big number on Monday Night Football. I think it's a big number on Monday Night Football for a team that's playing for the playoffs. But I also think San Francisco 49ers were a team that people were talking Super Bowl before the season started. And granted, like they've been decimated by injuries on defense and on the offensive side of the ball tonight. But I just have a really difficult time believing that Kyle Shanahan and a desperate 49ers team don't just handle business tonight. I respect Carolina. I think like I've been respectful of Carolina for probably the last month and a half. But I think the San Francisco 49ers, I just think the 49ers, I think they're just too much, man. And maybe they cover backdoor late. I mean, that's the only way like I could see it happening would be something late like backdoor, because San Francisco on defense now, like let's not forget, like they haven't been great on defense. And this is a mediocre offense as far as Carolina goes. I'm not even gonna play like with the number. I'm just gonna take the Niners on the money line and call it good, man. Because I don't think there's a way that the Panthers win this game tonight. I don't even think there would be a way they won this game even if Mac Jones was playing, bro. Like, oof. I just think it's one of those things, man. I think the gap. I think the gap, like the NFC, right? Like the gap between like the really good teams and like the playoff teams are pretty big. And I know like we just seen a ton of, I shouldn't say a ton of upsets, but like we just seen some upsets this week. Like we just seen, what should be a Las Vegas seasoned team with a veteran quarterback, a Super Bowl winning coach, lose to the Cleveland Browns and a rookie quarterback. Probably shouldn't have happened. We just seen Philadelphia come back from Dallas come back from 21-0 and win a game. Like we just seen, 150-year-old Kirk Cousins, who looked like he couldn't move, 2 weeks ago, beat a tough New Orleans Saints team at home. So like the Bengals hung around yesterday with the Patriots, you know what I mean? So is it in the realm of possibility? Yeah, but I just believe too much in the San Francisco offense, man. And I think could the 49.5 hit? I think the 49.5 could hit. I would be willing to bet that more than I'd be willing to bet the 7.5.
Yeah, the Niners defensively have just been a defense that, allow a ton of yardage. They don't get a ton of sacks. But, Robert Saleh, defensive coordinator, really has kept this group even without some of these, their impact players, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, obviously, both those guys done for the year. Like they've obviously lost some injury, stars to injury. So they still kept things afloat. It's just they still allow a ton of yardage per game to opposing offenses. So it's something where like the 49.5 is very sneaky because it's like I feel like it's a 24-20 type of game in this spot because I feel like Carolina could still make a few stops defensively. They're not the same defense there was earlier on in the year. So it just remains to be seen. But I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to take the Niners as well here. 7, I'd probably take the 7 here as well because I think the Niners do take care of business here. Makes a ton of sense because what they have to also keep on fighting for as well. Like Carolina obviously has to, keep pace. And the Buccaneers loss kind of, still has themselves in the overall class of looking to win the division, but it's definitely gonna be a tough spot for them going on the road in San Francisco. So that's just kind of how it is. I'm back when I miss. It was hilarious. But yeah, both of us are on the Niners tonight. I'm gonna take a slight under here because I feel like this is still I feel like Monday Night Football can be very interesting when it comes to teams like this. And it could hit the over. I wouldn't mind it, but I'm like, all right, for selfish purposes, I'm gonna take the under. Anyhow, that's what we got, folks. Yeah, Haywood, you didn't miss much. We're pretty much wrapping up the show.
Yeah, bro. Like just looking at this, Like, I just can't. I know I've mentioned it before, but before that explosion last week, like Bryce Young had went like, what is it, damn near the entire season without throwing for over 200 yards. So like, I can't subscribe to it.
Yeah, I tried to see it again.
I can't subscribe
I gotta
to
see
it.
it again.
Can't subscribe to it.
I gotta see it again. But yeah, on to the prop shop for the week. We are 5-7 on the week because of Baker Mayfield's injury. So that's all good. But however, rolling into the overall record, we'll update the next time we're on the show. But that being said, to the prop shop we go. 2 bets for y'all tonight. Jalen Coker over 2.5 receptions. Phillies should be a gimme. In terms of Carolina most likely playing from behind. Coker is playing slot. Obviously, in both these teams actually are pretty generous to slot receivers, short area receivers. So Coker should have a decent matchup playing slot in this one. And obviously, George Kittle over 50.5 receiving yards. This is a spot for, I think, George Kittle to have the blow-up spots. Obviously, we know Carolina's run defense is pretty decent. So this should open lanes up for Kittle to overall hit this with pretty much relative ease. I was debating about anytime touchdown for him. We could probably put a sprinkle on that too, but it's not an official bet for me tonight. That being said, yeah. Yep. December 6th, he says. December 6th. I'm not sure about that time, Haywood, but not sure about that time, my guy. But yeah, I mean, he's asking obviously if you down, Johnny. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll just send him a message in the chat.
Okay. But yeah. That being said, yep, that's what we got, folks. That is it. Another great show. Any miracles you need tonight, Johnny, for the rest of the world to know?
I think like 47 points in my home league to stay alive. If not, then I'll be officially eliminated. And I got Kittle. I have Kittle, Dowdle, and Jawan Jennings going tonight, and he's got nobody. So like 47, I believe, 47, or is he like 47 or 52 points, something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah. But I mean, like, what better spot to be in a game that has a 49.5 over? So, you know, I feel okay about it. That's the only one I really need. Everything else is kind of pretty much already. Yeah, it's pretty much already settled. So that's the big one for me. All
right. I don't need Jawan Jennings to do much tonight. Don't do anything, Jawan Jennings. How about that? Fake an injury or something. Pretty much I need freaking Tyrell McMillan to score, do what he did last week. Just do what you did last week toward Tyrell McMillan, and we're good. And that's for the league we're actually tied in for first place. So, but I still got the points lead on everybody. So, but that being said, some miracles. Any final thoughts?
No final thoughts, man. I wish your Scott Fishbowl team good luck.
That's all you got?
Yeah, I wish your Scott Fishbowl team good luck.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
What up, Snoop? What's happening, y'all? Appreciate you coming on. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll make that happen for sure. Yeah, final thoughts is that Johnny is going to have to get his weight up if he's going to want to take a championship away from me down the stretch. So we'll find out if that happens. Good luck to your Scott Fishbowl team.
I was saying good luck to your Scott Fishbowl team.
Yeah, and I was giving you good luck to yours.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
But your Scott Fishbowl team is like Bryce Young, right?
No.
Oh, you haven't been eliminated?
Doesn't matter, really, does it?
Oh, okay. I was just making sure. Yeah. Yeah. So if I got to get my weight up for your league, good luck to your Scott Fishbowl team.
Appreciate it.
Oh, the hits keep coming.
I don't know about hits, but I got more than you this year right now.
Okay. Listen, I mean,
we good right now.
Like I said, man, hey, man,
we're gonna see you at the last lap, John. That's all I gotta tell you. We're gonna see you at the last lap. It
is difficult to beat you because you are like the Armageddon of fantasy football, is what you are.
Don't worry.
You're the Armageddon of fantasy football. It's difficult to beat you.
Worry. I know it is.
Yeah,
so when you do, you feel like you got an actual win. Good.
Yeah, I do,
Don't
man.
worry.
I do.
Don't worry, bro.
I do. Like if I do anything better, I'm feeling good about it, man. If that's the case, I'm just like,
shut up. You already know what's
listen, I'm supposed to lose. I'm not supposed to win. I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm not even supposed to be here, man. I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm not even supposed to be here, man. I'm just happy to be competing.
It's okay. We tune up the heat in here. It's all good.
I'm just happy to be competing.
I do a Stockfish Bowl victory. It's all good. You gotta make sure you win it though, dog. You can get semifinal at least.
Hey man, listen, I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy to be here. I'm just saying,
injuries are injuries, bro. They gonna happen.
Oh, I know. Like I said, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy.
I know you are.
I'm just
happy to be here. Go out there and win.
You see the shirt, man. I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler. I'm just happy to be 500, man. I'm just happy to be here, man.
Nixon, come on, bro. If you're gonna bring up Scott Fishbowl, why don't you go out there and get one?
No, man. I'm just happy. I'm happy to be here, man.
We'll see what happens. You gotta go out there and get a victory.
I'm just happy to be here.
I know you are. Get a victory.
Just happy to be here. That's it.
Get a victory.
Just happy to be here, Johnny. Just happy to be here. First
I
draft of the season. Kicking everything off. Whew.
Good.
Damn.
Good.
Man.
I'm glad you got that out of your system. You feel good?
No. Like I said, I'm not even supposed to be here, man.
Yeah, you're not. But you're here.
I'm not.
Go out and get a victory.
No, I'm not supposed to be here, man. I'm not supposed to be here.
Come back here next week without a victory?
Like I said, I'm just happy to be here, man. I'm just happy to be here.
Such a nonchalant answer, bro. Just say you're gonna go out there and get a victory.
No, man. No. I ain't gonna go out there and say I'm gonna go get a victory, man. Like that ain't what I do, man.
Okay.
I know, Snoop. It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, definitely.
It was bad.
This guy, yo. That being said, we'll see you guys next one. We'll be over here. We'll see how Johnny fares in his affairs for his teams. Till next time, we out. Peace.